All right, yo, what's good, gamers? What's good? My name is Dr. Ryan Charles Psych Sensei, and welcome to the stream, baby. Welcome to Reading with Ryan, and today we'll be talking about sleep, gamers, esports, how good sleep is, how to improve it, and stuff like that. So, if you're interested in learning how to improve your sleep or learning how sleep is important to you as a gamer, listen up. And also, if you want to learn more about me, you want to work with me one-on-one, you want to improve your sleep, or just behaviors to live your life, all those kinds of things, visit my website, psychsensei.com. There you can fill out a free consultation form where you can figure out what your win condition is and start working towards it today. Or you get all the resources there from my Twitter, my Discord, my TikTok, my LinkedIn, my Facebook, my Instagram. All of it can be there on my website, psychsensei.com. But yeah, I try to drop some new content every single day. A couple pieces, actually. And please check all the stuff out there. All right. Well, I hope you like sleep, or I hope that you're interested in sleep, and I hope I don't put you to sleep. But let's figure this one out today, baby. All right. This is a shout out to my good friend Bonner. And today's article is entitled "Evaluation of a Brief Sleep Intervention Designed to Improve the Sleep, Mood, and Cognitive Performance of esports athletes." This is brought to you by Bonner, Lee, Roan, Blum, Khan, Jang, Dunny Can, Bradser, and Shu. I believe this is coming out of Australia. Oh, mixed Australia, South Korea, Texas, China. Look at that. It's a multi-national team putting this together, baby. Too much. All right. All right, you're gonna be stream dog too. You okay? Okay. Sorry. Grab you in a weird way. Okay. Assume the position. I think I put the pencil in his side. My bad. He did not like that. He was unpleased. All right. Electronics. Oh, and this article came out in 2022. Nice. All right. Electronic sports, esports, are a form of organized video game competition that have been increasingly popular and professionalized over the last decade. This global esports industry is predicted to generate 1.84 billion in revenue each world and reach a worldwide audience of 474 million in 2021. In response to its growth, researchers have begun to investigate factors that influence the performance and well-being of professional competitors known as esports athletes. Within this budding field of academic inquiry, the function of sleep has emerged as a particular area of interest due to its central role in supporting human health and performance. Yes. Yo, Riptive, baby, what's good? Oh, Riptive. My bad. How you been, baby? How you been? Good to see you. I'm good, man. I'm good. Same old, same old. I guess, well, maybe not so good. My shit got stolen today at the gym. I guess that encourages you not to go to the gym, but unlucky. Unlucky. Still trying to get over it, but it's just stuff at the end of the day. I'm okay. Just stuff. But how's you in sleep, man? How's you in general, my boy? However, the unique characteristics and conditions experienced by esports athletes, including but not limited to long training hours, performance stress, and a tendency towards a late chronotype, delayed sleep pattern, may increase the risk of suboptimal sleep outcomes. Yes. I think another thing that people don't understand when it comes to esport athletes is, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna just say my hot take. My hot take is, if esport athletes actually trained like athletes or acknowledged their status as athletes and then acted as such, for example, elite athletes will make sure they're exercising, stretching, eating, studying, having lots of boundaries or structures in place to make sure that they can compete in their training, during practice, during their matches, all of these things. My hot take is, if esport athletes actually treated themselves like athletes, the level of play would be so much higher. For example, if they went to the gym, if they ate properly, if they slept properly, and also the hotter take is if organizations actually treated them like this or held them to this standard, I think it would even get crazier. You know, I think some coaches in some organizations do have a nice structure, keeps everyone accountable, regulates everyone through this perspective, but not many. But I'm thinking that if they did, oh my god, it'd be nuts. What the fuck? Who even steals gym stuff? My germ phobia could never, bro. They stole my shoes? They stole my water bottle? They stole my gross, crusty headphones, bro. It's gone. The one thing that I'm fucking pissed about, I'll be real, is they stole my limited edition Sasuke like sunglasses from Jin's that are prescription, so no one can use them, and they're just gonna throw them away. It's like, bro, I was gonna eat that. I was gonna use those, you know? Just going through the motions while getting this moving done at the end of the month. Oh, good luck, brother. Good luck. Looking forward to this next one. Nice. Good luck. Moving's always not that great. Where are you going? That sounds awesome. Good luck on your adventure. Sounds fun. My hot take is even further. If esports athletes did all those things, orgs would bring in more revenue because there would be more attention to the normal things athletes pay attention to. Yup. I agree. I agree. You know, here's another hot take of mine. I know players may not like it. At the same time, I freaking love Fearless Draft. I love Fearless Draft. And let me tell you why. I love Fearless Draft because, yes, it is not optimal from one perspective. It's not optimal because you're not, you know, knowing a couple of champions and you're not pushing those champions to their limits and playing them super perfectly. No. I think, although it's not optimal in that way, I think it is optimal where, as a pro, it forces you to be able to play multiple styles, which makes it interesting. You know, it's almost as if it's like, for example, the different type of excitement from boxing, which is so exciting. A boxing match, you know, it's fighting, only using your hands. You know, there's knockdowns and, you know, there's rounds and good stuff. So it's like being excited to watching a boxing match versus an MMA match where, yeah, there's boxing in there, but the boxing changes because the range changes because they could kick you. But not only could they kick you, but they could take you down. So you have to be a complete fighter in MMA, per se. You can't be a specialist and be a boxer in MMA until you take a leg kick. But if you want to be a really good fighter, you have to be a complete fighter. And I think that's the transition between, I don't know, whatever the draft was, to more of this MMA-esque way of playing the game. I think it brings more eyes to the game. I think it brings more variability. I think it makes the pros think harder, work harder. I think it makes you think of the game from different perspectives and using different win conditions, which is exciting. So I'm a huge proponent of Fearless Draft, and I will fight for it. I love it. Fearless Draft is amazing, better for viewers, and adds variety to the game. That's a big criticism. Was being stale. Pros definitely have to adapt, which allows for a better experience. Absolutely. Orgs should be capitalizing on this to gauge players' interest, similar to how companies will occasionally watch employee perceptions during large pivots. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think they're going to continue to complain about it. At the same time, I think for the longevity of the sport, it's so important. It's so important. And here's okay, you want another hotter take, bro? Okay, hotter take. I think streaming scrims does not help the league performance-wise. I think streaming scrims, it does help with visibility and brand building and peeking in and seeing a little bit of the pros' lives. Yo, Bon, what's good? Long time no see, my friend. You know, I think it's great for that. However, I actually think streaming scrims is really bad for learning. But I can understand why people like Whippo want to stream their scrims because that's the environment that they play in and feel most natural in. However, most players, their natural habitat isn't playing in front of fans. It's playing offline or playing online, but away from the fans. You know, yes, being a pro involves you being really good in front of your fans. At the same time, if you want to learn, if you want to be intentional, if you stream your game, you're now splitting your attention between being entertaining or knowing that people are watching you from actually practicing the things that you want to learn in the scrim. So unless you're practicing the actual performance piece, playing on stream is actually more distracting than playing on stage or, you know, there. So I think, yes, it's great to stream your scrims, but if you stream your scrims, the most important thing to understand is that you're practicing the performance. You're not practicing the game, or there's a more emphasis on practicing the performance than the actual game. So that's my 2 cents of streaming scrims. Did you get a haircut? You look fresh. Thanks, baby. I got it a little bit later. I try to get I have a once a month appointment. This time I think I didn't take it too close on the sides. Next time I gotta take it a little bit shorter. But thank you. I have more grays and it's sad, but it is what it is. AKA make room for new exciting players to take the opportunity to revamp internal metrics. Oh, streaming scrims is def controversial. Agreed, though. It's mainly a viewer QL thing. Oh, is that qualifiers? But overall, it's terrible for overall highs because there can be a difference in org resources. Absolutely. I.e. an org staff to analyze the team's streams versus an org who doesn't. That's an obvious advantage. Yes, that's true. Quality of life. Yes, thank you. True. The distractedness also, that's something I haven't thought about. You look great. Thanks. Yes. Because I mean, if you think about it, when people think about scrims or they think about prac, it's about learning. That's the most important thing. But as soon as you involve other people to watch your thing, now you're part entertainer, part practice, part I don't want to leak things, you know? So it's a toss-up for me. I think if we were to make a hybrid system, for example, like you don't stream scrims until like Friday, and say your match is on Saturday. So, for example, you would keep your scrims closed. That way, you would have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, if you wanted to review certain things, go over certain team comps, practice certain specific things. And then if you wanted to even stepwise that to Friday, now I have this show match, or we stream scrims, and now it's kind of like a light exhibition. Okay, now that makes sense to me because now you can take what you've learned in the scrim, and now you have this exhibition match or this streamed match to now consider people watching you as you try to perform in preparation for the performance on Saturday. See, that makes sense to me. So, for example, if you want to get more specific, you could even go, okay, Monday, where it's an easier team. Tuesday is a little harder of a team. Wednesday is a little harder than that. Thursday, maybe even more challenging. And then Friday, if you want to have a tune-up match, or you want to actually go against a really good team to try out live how you did, then Saturday you'd be more ready because you went through the strength test, the specificity test, and then the performance test, and then you actually perform. You know? So there's ways you could integrate it and then stepwise it for sure. You know, it just really depends what the goal is for that day. I think that's the most important thing. But I think when people think about just streaming scrims, they're like, we need more money, or we need more people to see us. And it's like, yeah, at the same time, people want to see you win. So sure, depends what kind of brand you're trying to build. I guess the TLDR is being intentional in what you're doing and what you want to get out of it versus everybody's doing it. We're gonna stream scrims. That's where I'm at with it. All right. But yes, that's the thing that I want to emphasize from this like paragraph is that like there are differences not only in age, I'd say maturity level. I would also say like what they do in practice, what's allowed in practice, how late you can stay up. Is it encouraged to play more games? Is it encouraged to watch games? Is it encouraged that you like live your life? It's very interesting how different organizations also pan out their pros life. Right. Because pro life as a pro esport athlete is vastly different than if you were like a pro football player or like Simone Biles. Completely different. Right. A small but growing body of evidence on the sleep patterns of esport athletes has been documented. Studies comprising participants from South Korea, Australia, Brazil, and the United States have found that esport athletes had significantly delayed sleep timings. Y'all sleep later. But also, I think it is important to state that there is a other biological piece that esport players typically are fighting because they're teenagers to their early 20s. Yes, the chronotype is shifting later biologically. I don't know why it does this, but as you get into your teens and early 20s, you naturally want to sleep later on during the night versus like earlier. And then as you get older, your body naturally shifts you earlier to sleep than later. I think biology has said, or evolution has said, it's because when you're younger, it's a biological advantage because if you could stay up a little bit later, then things wouldn't come and eat you while you're sleeping. Makes sense, but I guess if you're old, you're like, please take me, maybe, I don't know. But, you know, so you're fighting against biology to sleep earlier, even though it's better for you, you know? So it's a natural shift in your sleep and wake patterns. Okay. Their total sleep time is low, ranging from 6.5 to 7.2 hours per night, with sleep diary estimates being greater than the antigraphy estimates. So you're sleeping later, you're sleeping less. And you know, it's really important though, that it's also a range. So for you, knowing what your perfect number of sleep is or how many hours you need is also super duper important. Okay. Sleep onset latency was typically adequate. Okay, so within 30 minutes. So less than 30 minutes when measured with sleep diary and list actigraphy. However, well, okay, so onset. Okay, so I will write sleep later. So sleep later. Sleep later. Sleep less. Less time to fall asleep. Or adequate. Okay, average time to sleep. So they said this one is, write this down for us. This one is, what? They're going to 3:30 a.m. to 11. That sounds ludicrous. Don't do this. 3:34 to 11:24 to fuck. Then after this is 6.5 to 7.2. And then less than 30. Sick. All right. All right. However, while sleep diaries estimates of wake after sleep onset was within normal limits. Okay. Wake after sleep onset. So you get up in 20 minutes. Okay. Actigraphy estimates are excessive, which may reflect the discrepancy between these measures observed in the sleep literature. Collectively, These findings suggest that some sport athletes have delayed sleep timings and are sleep restricted, which aligns with subject estimates of high daytime sleepiness. Okay, so what they're saying is if you go to sleep late and you don't sleep for that long, you're going to be tired in the daytime. Makes sense to me, bro? All right, there are two important implications for esport athletes who obtain poor sleep. First, sleep restriction has a well-known deleterious effect on cognitive performance, including slower reaction times, increased memory lapses, decreased vigilance and attention, and impaired executive functions. Who would have thought sleep restriction is bad? Who thought? If you're sleepy, you have slower reaction times, memory lapses, decreased vigilance and attention, and impaired executive functioning. I don't know about you, but all of those things sound super important for esports, gaming, life in general. You know what I mean? Importantly, these aforementioned cognitive abilities, amongst others, have been proposed to play a role in esports. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. In which games are often fast-paced, require complex decision-making and adaptation, and can be played for varying periods of times, 5 to 45 minutes, over successive matches during a multi-day tournament. Yeah. I don't think people understand how cognitively intense esports is. Because if you think about what somebody needs to do in esports and the pacing of it and the things that you need to think about and the fine motor coordination of your hands and your keyboard, it's a very taxing process if you think about it. Because, for example, just a little bit, right? You have to, if you want to be really good at esports, you have to have high working memory to maintain everything that's on your screen, right? All those bits of information, from the mini map to your camera to sounds to like what you're looking, like everything. So you have to integrate all that information. You have to hold it. Then you have to consider what's going to happen in the future, or you need to consider the information in front of you and make inferences about behavior, about future actions, about consequences. And then you have to clickety move yourself around the map. And then you interact with other people. And then all through all this entire thing, you have to regulate your attention. You have to pay attention to some things. You have to not pay attention to other things. Both of these things take cognitive energy. You have to then put that in your little brain, think about it, act accordingly, or get tilted. Getting tilted takes energy. Then you have to redirect or refocus or stop being tilted. All takes energy. And then continue to play and function and perform at a high level. What? And then you ask me, why are you tired or why are you tilted? It's because you're tired because you're doing all of this continuously for what's a game? 30 minutes, 35 minutes? And then you play another one. And then you play another one. And you play another one. And then you don't take any breaks. And then, I don't know, you don't eat. Or you don't drink water. You don't exercise. So now you're all tired. Say you injured yourself because, I don't know, your wrist hurts. Or maybe because you've been sitting for so long, your back and your shoulders are hurting. And now you're in pain, which also takes energy. Or you're not thinking about your pain, which takes energy. And you're persisting to this task, which takes energy. And now you're tilted. Of course. It's such a highly energy intensive activity. But yet we don't want to treat ourselves like professional athletes. The fuck? It doesn't make any sense. Because I guess because we sit down and everything that you're doing in gaming is just sitting, so you think it's low impact or like low effort. But if you really want to get really, really good, it's actually one of the most effortful things that you can do. Because let me tell you, if pros or people train properly, at the end of your 3 games, you should be toasted. Like, you should be super tired because you were full focus, locked in for, if a game is 35 minutes, 60, 70 plus another 30, 90 minutes max. Okay, how long was the SAT? Think about that. How long was the SAT? How did you feel after the SAT? If you're fully locked in, you're probably really tired. Okay, in that same amount of time, though, that's how many games you're playing. And if you're just as focused or more focused, because you probably liked it, on your games than the SAT, why wouldn't you be fatigued? And if you're not fatigued, were you paying attention? These are thoughts I just play with my cell phone. All right. Importantly, these aforementioned cognitive abilities, amongst others, are okay, I got it down. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Over successive matches during multiple training. Crazy. All right. Second, some researchers have shown a relationship between esports and poor mental health outcomes. Oh my god. Sleep restriction contributes to distributed mood states, depression and anxiety, with preliminary evidence showing a possible link between sleep and depressive symptoms in esport athletes. Thus, esport athletes' performance and mental health could be compromised due to poor sleep. Bro, let me tell you. How are you feeling if you got no sleep? Probably not great. Because again, if we're talking about resources, from a resource perspective, sleep helps you regain those resources or replenish those resources you may have lost during the day. And as my previous rant went, esports is one of the most resource heavy, cognitive heavy activities you can participate if you are playing at a high level. So if you do not get sleep, you are putting yourself at a literal disadvantage to recoup some of those cognitive resources you use or expended thinking super hard or focusing super hard on your game all day. So yeah, you're going to feel bad. You're going to perform worse, and that's going to affect your mood. Makes sense. Suboptimal sleep experienced by esports athletes and the potential consequences for performance and mood suggest that sleep interventions are warranted. We have previously proposed that cognitive behavior therapy for insomnia and a multi-component treatment package could be adapted to meet the needs of esport athletes. Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia treatment. Components include education to improve sleep knowledge, cognitive techniques to reduce nocturnal arousal levels, behavioral strategies to establish consistent sleep scheduling, and motivational tasks to enhance treatment compliance, which are usually delivered over 4 to 8 week sessions. Okay, this is the model. So let me highlight this in a different color. Let me use a yellow. Okay, so number 1, sleep knowledge. Cognitive techniques to reduce nocturnal arousal. Behavioral strategies to establish consistent sleep schedules. Motivation tasks to make sure that you do it. And do it over 4 to 8. The model. Okay, what I want to point out here too is that, like, you know, when people talk about fixing their sleep, right? I want to fix my sleep, or blah, 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 my sleep is all messed up. Okay, it's not just doing it. What I mean is, like, it's not just fixing your sleep. That's just part of the process, because that is this, right? Behavioral strategies to establish a consistent sleep schedule. That's this. But also in this insomnia treatment, there's 1, here's your knowledge for sleep. Number 2, here's your techniques to decrease your awakeness at nighttime. Number 3, there is the sleep earlier. Fix your schedule. Then there's 4, the motivation tasks to make it continue. And then look at this. It doesn't happen just overnight. It may take 4 to 8 weekly sessions to do it. So again, when people talk about, I just want to fix my sleep, I'm just going to do this. You can do it. That's fine. I mean, that's a technique of staying up for 24 hours. You can do it and it fixes your sleep schedule. The question then becomes, though, how long does that change last? How effective is that intervention? And how deep is it? Or does it just go back to how it was and then you gotta stay up again for 24 hours? And now you're doing this 24 hours like torture session for yourself. But if you actually looked at these 4 different areas to make it stick better, it might suck less. So the point is, yes, fixing your sleep schedule is about changing it. At the same time, there are other things like the way you think about it, the information you need, or what types of motivations do you have to make sure that this change stays permanent or more consistent. However, the demands of training and the competition schedule to which esport athletes are required to adhere suggests that a brief, low-intensity sleep intervention, which has shown to be effective in traditional athlete populations, may be more feasible and realistic for teams to accommodate. Okay, tell us. Tell me, baby. What is this brief, low-intensity sleep intervention? What does that look like? Moreover, since esports athletes are young and therefore are inclined to be high technology users, biofeedback may be an engaging adjunctive intervention component. In a sleep context, biofeedback typically refers to a wrist-worn activity monitor being paired with a smartphone application to relay sleep and sometimes subsequent cognitive performance data back to an individual following a period of sleep. Biofeedback has shown mixed results in the treatment of sleep disorders such as insomnia. However, it has been recommended using an appropriate validated wrist activity monitor for traditional athletes as a non-intrusive means of increasing sleep awareness. I mean, my bone to pick with biofeedback is basically, it's kind of how it says, right? Like you're using your biology to provide you feedback to your state of being so you can change it or do different things. The thing that I'm thinking about, though, is with this, it would be like, you're sleepy now. Time to go to bed. Like, sure. At the same time, if you're just sleepy, just go to bed. Why do you need a watch to tell you? You know, like, you feel sleepy, just go. All right. However, it has been recommended using an appropriate validated wrist activity monitor for traditional athletes as a non-intrusive means for increasing sleep awareness. The benefit of increased sleep awareness for esport athletes participating in a sleep intervention is that it would enable the active monitoring of progress while simultaneously making sleep-related behavior changes. I like that. All right, this study aimed to evaluate a brief, low-intensity sleep intervention designed to improve sleep, mood, and cognitive performance of esport athletes from 3 major esports regions: Asia, North America, and Oceania, using a single-arm, open-labeled, multi-centered interventional study design. To the best of the author's knowledge, this is the first time a sleep intervention has ever been trialed with esport athletes in any context. We predicted that participants would obtain short-term improvements in sleep and performance at post-intervention to pre-intervention. I would hope so too. Okay. So I'm guessing they're saying that they would feel better because their sleep is more congruent. That's what I'm thinking. All right, I'm just gonna run through this really quickly. Okay, top esports organizations. Okay, we're contacted. Okay, they're enrolled in the study. Team-based cohorts. Okay. Okay, their demographics. Okay, they gave all this. I want to see like the. Okay, they gave their demographics. They gave them the sleep monitor wrist tracker. Okay, then they wrote a sleep diary. Okay, questions related to bedtime, basically. Then they took the insomnia severity index. Oh, interesting. How do they do this one? Excuse me. Okay, they asked them about their daytime sleepiness, how much knowledge they had on sleep. Then they took some mood measures, depression, anxiety. And then they had them do games on top of the iPad. Okay, so they had the pre-intervention, then intervention there. Okay, give me the data. Look at this. Okay, so the average age was 21. 21, 20. So young players. Look at the US. There are 2 female players. Let's go. Caffeine intake. Sheesh. Damn. South Korea holding down the caffeine intake, though. Shit. That's crazy. 2.9 years as a pro. 1.8. It's not that much. Significant. All right. Give me some results. All right. That's what I wanted. Discussion. Okay. An accumulating body of evidence suggests that esport athletes experience suboptimal sleep, characterized by delayed sleep timings and restricted time TST, with direct implications for mood and performance. Time to sleep. What TST? What is TST? I believe that was like time. Over here. Their total sleep time. Okay, total sleep time. Here it is. Okay, total sleep time. So restricted sleeping or restricted total sleep time. So you go to sleep later. Oh, you go to sleep later, and also you sleep less. Okay, to the best of our knowledge, the study is the first to trial a brief low-intensity sleep intervention specifically designed to improve the sleep, mood, and performance of esport athletes over a short period. Overall, mixed results were observed. Based on self-report questionnaires, participants improved their sleep knowledge, reduced their severity of their insomnia symptoms, yet might have experienced greater sleepiness. In terms of sleep measures, sleep diaries estimated showed improved in SOL. We're close. There. Sleep onset latency. So how fast? Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Okay. Improvements as well. In earlier sleep onset time and improved sleep efficiency. While Risk Activity Monitor estimates collaborated their earlier sleep onset time. However, these modest improvements in sleep did not confer any mood, depression, or anxiety, or cognitive performance benefits. Now we examine these findings in more detail and discuss considerations for future interventions. Okay, what was the sleep? I want to know what the thing was. Okay, here it is. If you want to do this own intervention on yourself, I got you. You ready? All right. So all you need to do for 14 days, it says, on day 1 of the intervention period, participants completed a group sleep education class. Day 1, group sleep education. The class included a presentation that outlined information on the importance of sleep for health and performance in esports, sleep physiologically, sleep physiology. Oh, I did it. Physiology, sleep hygiene, sleep myths. Waking during the night is abnormal. Characterizations of adequate sleep, and a brief introduction to brief behavioral therapy for insomnia. The class was 40 minutes long and conducted by a clinical psychologist specializing in behavioral sleep medicine. That's my boy Bonner, baby! Love you, man. I miss you. Papa Bonner. At the end, the group at the end of the group presentation, participants downloaded a phone application and paired it with Risk Activity Monitor app enabled. Okay. All right. Days 1 to 3. Each participant completed a 30-minute one-on-one session with the same psychologist. Wow. Okay. Who conducted the group sessions? Who conducted the group education? Sessions occurred over 3 days to accommodate busy team training schedules. During the one-on-one sessions, participants provided with a brief report that outlined a summary of their sleep and cognitive performance data from the risk monitor obtained during the baseline period. Data included sleep variables, an average cognitive performance score for each day. The clinical psychologist described four recommendations adapted from brief behavioral therapy for insomnia. These included the following. 1, reduce time in bed if sleep quality is poor. 2, keep a consistent wake time. 3, do not go to bed unless sleepy. And do not stay in bed unless you are sleeping. These are 4 great recommendations. I think, in general, if you did these things, reduce the time in bed if sleep quality is poor, keep a consistent wake up time, do not go to bed unless sleepy, and 4, do not stay in bed unless you are sleeping. I bet you if you did this in general, it would help your sleep, because this is like training yourself to have better sleep habits, and that's from a direct intervention, so you can take that shit to the bank. A relaxing exercise. Ooh. Diaphragmatic breathing for 2 to 3 minutes was practiced to help esports athletes reduce pre-sleep arousal levels if needed, aka make them tired. At the end of session, 3 motivational interviewing questions are based on the themes of desire, ability, and commitment. How confident are you about improving your sleep? Like that. Very nice. Finally, yes. Reason enhanced motivation and treatment compliance. Finally, a sleep and performance manual that summarized the context covered in the group educational and one individual one-on-one session was provided as a reference. Participants were encouraged to read the manual and use the information gained in the group education one-on-one session to try to improve their sleep until the conclusion of the intervention period. On the last day of the intervention period, participants returned their risk activity monitor, completed a battery of questionnaires, and sleep knowledge quiz via paper or online, and underwent cognitive testing. Okay. Bros, I think this in general would actually help your sleep. Literally, this part. Especially the motivational interviewing part. I think the other thing that probably made this intervention more successful is that you were probably doing it with a doctor or someone who was helping you and walking you through it, versus you doing it on your own. But that doesn't mean that you couldn't do it on your own. I liked it. All right, let's go with outcomes. Although there are no other sleep interventions in esports with which to compare our findings, similar brief low intensity sleep interventions trialed in professional athletes samples who are also sleep restricted offer a useful contrast. For example, bro, good luck. Et al. Provided an educational session that outlined sleep hygiene information and strategies to increase TST and sleep quality. In addition to weekly sleep parameter feedback and a mid-intervention feedback session, despite results showing subjective benefits for TST and sleep efficiency, there's no objective sleep benefit or change in PVT. Okay. Another study, Driller et al. Provided a group education session and a 30-101 session that outlined personalized sleep hygiene recommendations. Results indicated improvements in subjective sleepiness and team quality. Sorry, my God. In subjective sleepiness and sleep quality and objective estimates of sleep efficiency, SOL, and sleep onset variance. These findings from our study are more aligned with that person's in that there were mostly modest subjective short-term sleep benefits. Okay. And the reason why I'm thinking that there's short-term sleep benefits instead of longer ones is because I'm guessing they didn't take the study for longer, and if they did, they probably would be more benefits. Important findings from Driller et al. Combined with other recent evidence suggest that individualizing sleep interventions may produce more robust sleep benefits than a one-size-fits-all approach, and should thus be also investigated in esports. Absolutely. I agree. I mean, I think you can make blanket, like, do this to fix your sleep. At the same time, it really matters because of the motivation and your relationship with it. What's going to be most effective for you to change your sleep behaviors or your beliefs on sleep, not just your sleep patterns. All right. Notably, there was a small non-significant change, 6 to 9 minutes, in TST at post-intervention. As part of the brief intervention therapy for insomnia recommendations, esport athletes were encouraged to keep a consistent wake-up time, which our findings suggest they did. Hence, a further increase in TST was likely constrained by esport athletes' difficulty in advancing sleep onset time more significantly than 12 to 18 minutes. Subjective and objective estimates, however, observed over the short time frame. Given that there was a negligible change in SOL, this suggests that esport athletes did not dramatically shift the time they attempted sleep despite being mildly sleep restricted. Interesting. That's funny because it seems like they took one fact of the four, like, okay, I need to wake up at a consistent time, but they forgot to like also go to sleep at a consistent time or whatever, or maybe like wake up at a consistent time was like the one thing they paid attention to, but also they forgot to shift it back to they could also go to sleep earlier to wake up earlier to get that full amount of sleep. A previous qualitative study comprising Korean esport athletes found that late training times may increase arousal levels post-training, leading to a bedtime procrastination characterized by technology use. Ooh. Makes sense to me. The other thing I'm thinking about too is like, I wonder if there's a difference between traditional sport athletes who use their bodies all the time to get tired, and like they're running and they're lifting and they're training and stuff. And I wonder if they get more tuckered out and go to sleep easier because they use their physical body versus esport athletes who, I don't know, are like the screens and the blue light and the exciting activity that they're doing. I wonder if that also shifts their sleep backwards or makes them less tired and more exciting. Thus, it's harder for them to go to bed versus the traditional sport athlete who's been training all day and just goes when they hit their bed. Recent evidence indicates that bedtime procrastination is related. Recent evidence indicates that bedtime procrastination is related to delayed sleep timing, poor mood, and insomnia symptoms. Bedtime procrastination. That's not good. Basically, bedtime procrastination is exactly how it sounds. You procrastinate going to bed, thus you shift your sleep time later. Not good, this thing says. Hence, bedtime procrastination might have prevented esport athletes in our study from attempting sleep earlier when feeling sufficiently sleepy, as recommended in brief behavioral therapy for insomnia. Further research should quantify the level of bedtime procrastination in esport athletes using the bedtime procrastination scale and investigate whether this does indeed interfere with their readiness to attempt sleep. Bedtime procrastination, bad. Okay, consistent with the modest improvements in some subjective sleep estimates, there was a decrease in insomnia severity scores to below the cutoff score of 10 at post-intervention. Nice. This decrease indicates that esport athletes perceive less sleep disturbance from pre to post-intervention. In contrast, these improvements for subjective sleep were not reflected in our daytime sleepiness measure, with participants experiencing possible increased sleepiness levels at post-intervention. Results were significant but not meaningful. However, similar findings have been reported in previous research whereby sleepiness scores initially increase at post-intervention, but then decrease at the 2-month follow-up. Hence, future research should include a follow-up to monitor for lagged improvements in sleepiness levels. I wonder if too, the sleepiness levels are increased post-intervention because your body is still adjusting to the patterns that the sleep patterns that you're trying to adjust to. But once you're adjusted to them, you feel more rested. Or you feel more used to them, so you don't feel so sleepy. Okay, although not a primary focus of the present study, it should be noted that pre-intervention objective sleep estimates of participants are largely consistent with previous reported findings from our group involving a subset of esport athletes from Australia, South Korea, and the US, also involved in the present study. In both studies, participants from all countries were found to have significant delayed sleep patterns and long WASO, leading to reduced TST of less than 7 hours per night. There were some small discrepancies between our previous study, with SOUL being slightly longer and sleep efficiently lower in this present study. However, the general congruent finding between the initial smaller subset and our expanded sample increases confidence in the objective evidence obtained thus far regarding the sleep patterns for esport athletes in these countries. Despite participants obtaining modest short-term sleep benefits, there was no subsequent change in mood or performance. Regarding mood, meta-analytic evidence indicates that non-pharmacological sleep interventions are effective in reducing symptoms of anxiety and depression. Hence, in our study, either the benefit of sleep were too small to affect mood, or other factors unrelated to sleep might have been negatively impacting mood. That's true. Could be. Regardless, using sleep interventions to target mood in esport athletes remains a plausible mechanism to be tested further. Additionally, previous research investigating sleep interventions in adolescents with delayed sleep timings has demonstrated that an improvement in depression symptoms can lag. In one study, despite improvements across multiple sleep parameters, there is no change in depression scores post-intervention, but there was at the 6-month follow-up. Hence, future research could include a longer follow-up monitor for delayed change in mood. All right, fair. I mean, maybe. maybe, but I'm more interested that they didn't find the change in mood. You know, I thought that's kind of odd because I would think that if you actually improved your sleep, your mood would also go up. Right? All right. All right. With respect to cognitive performance, the level of sleep restriction in our sample should first be highlighted. Esports athletes slept 6.9 low and 4.7 hours per night on average. Dude, even this is off. They slept this long, but they thought they slept longer. Okay. Do you do this thing? Okay. For me, I don't know if there's anyone else out there like this, but if you're like me, I have this rule where if it's really late and I have to get up early to do something, it's always 8:30. Like if you tell me the time, I feel like, oh my god, I feel so late. What time is it? If you tell me 8:30, then I'll go to sleep thinking it's like 8:30. And even though I got like 2 hours of sleep, I will feel like because I went to bed at 8:30, but if I have to get up at like, 8, in my head, I've gotten like 11 and a half hours of sleep, even though I've gotten 2, you know? So if I ever ask you the time and it's late, it's always 8:30. If it's really late, it's like 9. If it's your just F in the A, bro, it's like 10 o'clock. Okay, right now, like 10. That's real bad. But if you ever tell me the time, when I ask you what time is it and it's really late and you tell me the actual time, I will punch you. I will punch you. Do not ruin this for me. The placebo works. Let me eat the placebo. It's 8:30. Does anyone else do that? I've been doing it for years. Yes, so if it's late, it's 8:30. Because again, my subjective experience is more important than the objective one, okay? Okay, Van Dogen et al. Found that less than 8 hours per night led to cumulative dose-dependent degradation in cognitive performance. Okay, so I'll read that one more time, because I think that's an important thing to highlight. Okay, Van Dogen et al. Found that less than 8 hours per night led to cumulative dose-dependent degradation in cognitive performance. That means if you keep going down, every night you go less than 8, it's worse and worse and worse and worse. Your thinking on cognitive performance is cumulative. So the more you do it, the bigger the bad. Thus, our study findings adds further weight to the existing evidence-based that some esport athletes are more likely competing while cognitively impaired. Thus, our study adds further weight to the existing evidence base that some esport athletes are most likely competing while cognitively impaired. And I believe other studies would say that sleepiness is worse than drunk driving, or like sleepy impaired driving is worse than drunk driving. So basically, what this study is saying is that people are basically doing worse than drunk playing. They're sleepy playing. Bad. Alright. In terms of lack of PVT improvement, findings from the present study are consistent with previous sleep extension research showing that a large increase in TST can generate PVT improvements, while a small increase may not. Although it is difficult to determine the exact TST change with threshold at which PVT improves, the additional 6 to 9 minutes per night found in the present study appears to be insufficient. Furthermore, cognitive performance is limited to the PVT, mean reaction time, and lapses in the present study. There are a range of cognitive abilities that contribute to the overall performance in esports that are also sleep sensitive. Thus, future sleep interventions should aim to include additional cognitive performance measures and possibly perceptual measures related to performance. That's fair. That's fair. All right, let's take us home. Yeah, because I mean, your whole brain is involved in esports. It's a full brain experience from the motor cortex to the premotor cortex to your temporal, occipital, all of it, bro. Like, you're using every piece of your brain. You know, and then when they say like, oh, you only use 10% of your brain, just think if you unlock the other 90. First of all, that's BS. But if it was true, esports is like using all 90% and maybe just 10's not used. Like, every single piece of your brain is being utilized during esports, from the dumping of adrenalines to the planning, strategy, emotion, stress regulation, to the hearing of sounds and the interpretation of what that means, to the seeing of things, to the coordination of your fingers using motor. Like, all of it is esports. Your entire brain is esports. So again, why sleep is so important is it adds or protects or provides you more cognitive resources or food or things so you can use them to play, think, do your best. All right, considerations for future sleep interventions in esports. The sleep intervention trialed in the previous study was designed to be a brief and low intensity, so that could be accommodating within the demanding training and competition schedule of esport athletes. According to the sleep education component, was limited to a 40-minute education session, and the one-on-one session was 30 minutes long, while biofeedback participants to maintain a passive awareness of their sleep. Why I think that's important too, like this passive awareness of their sleep, it's because like they've made sleep intentional. What I loved about this study was it really made each player more conscious, more aware, more intentional of their sleep behaviors. And it sounds like when they're able to actually keep sleep in the forefront of their mind or build a better relationship with sleep using knowledge or skills or techniques, the better their relationship, understanding, and experience and knowledge they have of sleep, the more they were able to do better in it, to participate in a more healthy way. Because again, this intention allowed them to constantly be thinking about it. And because they're thinking about it, they're making better choices around it. So if you want to be better at something or improve at something, it is the awareness of sleep, the intention of that thing that you're paying attention to. So increasing awareness of sleep doesn't surprise me that it increases their sleep behaviors or sleep health in general, or even attitudes towards sleep. As mentioned earlier, similar brief low-intensity sleep interventions trialed in traditional sport athletes and consisting of group education and a one-on-one session that produce improvements in both subjective and objective sleep outcomes. Moreover, there may be a limit to what a brief low-intensity sleep intervention can achieve in an esport population. That is, although some sport athletes may experience benefits, others requiring greater therapeutic input may not. True. I mean, this is for like the average bear, but if you actually have like sleep deficits or like sleep dysfunction or disorders, you probably need different techniques or higher order level of techniques. A stepped care model can be more effective in meeting the idiosyncratic sleep needs of esport athletes. In stepped care models, individual needs to be assessed and matched against a hierarchy of interventions. This approach has become increasingly popular within the sleep health field in recent years, and has also been proposed for traditional athletes in esports. For example, all esports athletes could receive sleep education and then undergo assessments to determine which players require further therapeutic input and to what degree. That would be great. Yes, and also it would also be awesome as esport athletes went to the doctor, the dentist, their physicals, went to see the psychologist, all of it, like traditional sport athletes do. Esport athletes identify as being at risk could participate in a brief low-intensity sleep intervention, while those found at being at, quote, high risk, diagnosed with insomnia, could receive more specialized therapy. Importantly, a stepped care model could feasibly fit within the busy lives of esport athletes. Yes, I agree. There's a lot of things that could be fit into a busy esport athlete, like, day. That's just not playing, but alas. There are several other additions that could be included to improve the effectiveness of an esports sleep intervention. For example, existing organizational personnel such as coaches and support staff, hell yeah, can be leveraged. Previous research has found that coaches and support staff in traditional supporting teams can play a pivotal role in providing health and performance-related advice to players, including sleep. They can also be a freaking barrier, too. For example, if they perpetuate poor sleep behaviors or poor relationship with sleep or have a vendetta against sleep, that can also make their team have the same beliefs. So, yes, as much as coaches can really help a team, they can also really hinder and hamstring any support staff that is trying to teach healthy skills if they do not believe in it. Which is such a tilter for me. Okay, hence, with appropriate training and guidance, esport coaches and support staff could participate in the delivery of a sleep intervention. Participation could include taking an active role in maintaining player engagement and accountability, in a similar way to other aspects of training and team management. Another potential means of improving sleep intervention's effectiveness is to gamify education and clinical content. Yo! Gamification could promote contextual learning, which refers to the concept that people learn best when new information being taught aligns with their existing frames or references, as it enables the construction of means based on prior experience. Gamification has been used to increase physical activity and could likewise be used to promote healthy sleep habits in a sleep intervention setting. For example, this could include modifying language to reflect esports nomenclature, suggesting players could obtain a sleep buff, which is a gaming term for power-up increase, while using esports gaming culture to shape intervention tools and resources. Sleep variable leaderboards. Ooh, I like sleep variable leaderboards and the environmental delivery medium esports discourse platforms. I like this. Who's the buffiest? Who's the buffiest? Sleep leaderboard sound. OP. I like these. I'm gonna steal them. I like this. All right. The finding of improved sleep knowledge, but only modest sleep benefit, is consistent with several studies investigating group sleep interventions for young people. In these studies, increased sleep knowledge has not always translated into behavioral change due to low motivation. I mean, knowledge is key. Absolutely. Knowledge is key, but maybe motivation's the door? I don't know. Or maybe motivation's a hurdle? That's so true. I mean, knowledge is great, but at the same time, if you don't use the knowledge, it's worth shit. All right, in the present study, motivational interview questions based on the themes of desire, ability, and commitment were included to enhance treatment compliance. However, actual motivation levels were not measured. Hence, these motivation interviewing questions might have been insufficient to motivate participants to make greater changes in their sleep behavior. More relatable and engaging motivational tasks, playing video games that simulates the impact of sleep restriction on performance, could Whoa, that'd be interesting, right? Because you essentially be like, okay, you only give your character half mana because like that's all the sleep you got. Play your game, you know? Could enhance the intrinsic motivation to make sleep-related behavior change. Finally, because sleep research in esports is in its infancy, there's still much to learn about sleep exercise in esport athletes as researchers gain a better understanding of specific risk factors for suboptimal sleep in esports. Other evidence-based intervention add-ons will become evident. For example, like traditional sports, it has been proposed that esport athletes who compete in different games may have varying risk profiles and associated sleep challenges. Although available evidence is limited, preliminary findings suggest that training length and timing differs between games, which therefore displaces sleep patterns differentially. Hence, a stronger focus on chronobiological strategies, light therapy, endogenous melatonin could be more important in some esport athletes than others. Okay, so now they're talking about the different types of games and what the types of games need. What about those people who have some kind of gene mutation that lets them feel like they got full sleeps on only 2 to 4 hours of sleep? Bonbon, I feel like you're really into these like mutations of genes and like rare people. I mean, sure. I guess then we would need to capture that person to study them in the objective versus subjective experience of their sleep and their performance, for sure. I mean, we call those guys lucky, maybe, or unlucky. I'm not sure. But I'm thinking they would still need sleep. Everyone needs sleep. It's just, again, part of being human, bro. I'm not sure. That's a good question. That is a great question. All right. If I don't have that much time, I'm going to pop to a meeting soon. But what was really interesting from this article, IMO, is sleep is good. That's what I got. I got number 1, the takeaway, sleep good. Sleep good. I guess that's it. I'm gonna go to this other meeting. I'm trying to think of takeaways. Bro, I think for me, the takeaway, honestly, from this article is that like if you have sleep troubles, there are strategies to fix your sleep. And if you think that, oh my gosh, I just need to stay for 24 hours to fix my sleep schedule, sure, that can work. At the same time, like the intervention for insomnia stated, there's more like ways to do it. So there is the behavior change. There is the attitudes and beliefs about the sleep. It's the sleep knowledge. How much do you know about the sleep? It's all these kinds of different things. And the motivation to continue to change your behaviors. So if you just change the behavior, it may not last. Thus, you need to stay for 24 hours again and again and again. So fixing your schedule, that may be the easiest part. What's your attitude towards sleep? How much do you know about sleep? What do you believe about sleep? Maybe if after changing these attitudes or thoughts or even your relationship to sleep, then the behavior change itself will just kind of come. You know what I mean? Versus focusing on the behavior change, doing it once, and then it doesn't last very long. That's what I'm thinking. The other thing that I'm thinking is that if you keep your sleep in the forefront of your mind, you pay attention to it, you track it, you're intentional in it, your sleep probably will improve, and your relationship with it probably will improve also. Just literally you thinking about it more, or you making it a priority, or you actually, being intentional in the sleep, it probably will improve. Also, what I really liked is the other suggestions of don't go into your bed until you are sleepy, or if you're having low quality sleep, get up and do something else. I think that's really cool because now now you are spending less time in bed. Thus, when you do go to bed, your body knows it's bedtime and it just goes to sleep. I think those are really cool. But yeah, what's your relationship with sleep? What do you think about it? Why are you trying to fight it? Why is it the villain? What's kind of going on? And if you want to change your sleep, it's not impossible. So then again, the question of the motivation is, how much is it worth for you to change your sleep? But yeah, It just came to my mind. Haha, I love atypical people like that. Yo, we gotta find all these people and have a party with them. It's gonna be great. But yo, thanks for coming today. I hope you guys learned a little bit about sleep and esports and things like that. I would try to take this article and put it on my Discord like the other ones. If you want to learn more about me and what I do, please visit my website, psychsensei.com, and fill out a free consultation form, baby. And you and I can sit down, figure out your win condition, and start working towards it today, baby. But yeah, thanks, Repith, for coming. Thanks, Bon for always coming and hanging out. Enjoyed it. Please, I'll be back Thursday. Sorry, I lied. Friday. I'll be back again at 6 p.m. EST. All right, friends. Thank you, Bon for coming, baby. I'll see you on Friday. All right, friends. Please be safe. Please be warm. Remember, stronger mental wins. Love ya. Mwah. Bye. Gonna make my pizza for myself, Lucky. Enjoy. Don't burn your mouth. Love ya. Bye.